Good afternoon. It is really my pleasure to participate in this ceremony that marks the opening officially for the public of a series of events that are going to take place between today and tomorrow. From this afternoon to tomorrow afternoon, with a number of partners that are grouped under the umbrella of the World Jewelry Association or Federation, CIBJO. I think it's very important for us to seize this opportunity to thank them for a long-standing commitment that is now lasting more than 10 years on issues relating to corporate social responsibility and their adherence to the Global Compact principles. For those who don't know, the Global Compact principles are a translation for the private and corporate world of key principles espoused by the United Nations. These principles are the ones that should guide the moral compass of the United Nations, from issues relating to human rights, to the respect of the environment, to sensitivity to social conditions of everybody. And I think now we have added also a principle relating to corruption because of the importance that this issue has for the corporate world and for them to be attentive to participate in the transformation of societies in such a way that corruption is as free as possible from business. This partnership, as I was mentioning, is an opportunity for marrying two very important concepts. The first concept is that we all learn from each other, and therefore knowledge sharing is really the best way we can transmit what are the lessons learned. And this is valid as much for corporate social responsibility as it is for the overall understanding that we now have in the world, that we are in a cycle where most people have very good conscience that we have to prepare ourselves for a long life learning. We are not going anymore to be able to just do it with the diploma that we obtain. We have to be prepared to continue to learn all the time. And the best way to learn for us and everybody that are active professionals is actually to do it through knowledge sharing. And the second element that I think is equally important is that we have to have a commitment for development that is based on transformation. The key word is transformation. So transforming is a way of capturing lots of things that we are conscious about, and sometimes we complicate it the way we formulate. From our very complicated formulations on governance, on our very heavy loaded definitions of economics, to an array of concerns about social and environmental issues. The best way to encapsulate all of that is to talk about transformation. So if we want the corporate sector to adhere to corporate social responsibility, the best way to actually define what needs to be done in a very simple and easy to understand formulation is to talk about knowledge sharing and to talk about transformation. And this is precisely what we can do together between the partnership of UNITAR, which is the United Nations Institute in charge of doing training, doing capacity development, and to certify and qualify training that is related to UN themes, and partners like the ones that we have today associated with these events that are interested, are committed to what I just said, transformation. They want to transform their industry, they want to make sure that an industry that is so symbolic in a number of ways is also associated not just with luxury, but also with transformation. And I think that's what I consider to be the privilege of today's opportunities and today's event. I want to give a vote of thanks to a number of people that have been quite fundamental for this to be possible. I would start with the president of CIBJO, Cavalieri, who is the sponsor of these events and also has succeeded in mobilizing very high-level participation for these events, a number of important contributors to the industry, but also people that have been participating in the reflection about corporate social responsibility in the jewelry industry. He himself has initiated a profound movement towards engaging the industry, both jewelry and diamond industry, into corporate social responsibility. And he has done it in a way to contribute to the Millennium Development Goals. Now, as you know, the Millennium Development Goals are again another attempt to translate into a very simple formulation something that we all care about. From reducing poverty to fighting hunger to making sure that there is more gender balance, that we respect the environment, that we care for education and health, and that we protect maternity. All these principles were the subject of a very high-level summit yesterday starting in New York with the participation of more than 100 heads of state. And I'm very pleased that UNITAR had a side event organized in New York with the participation of the Secretary General of the OECD and also the High Commissioner for Human Rights of the United Nations, as well as the Director of the Global Compact. And it was one of the best side events in terms of the level of participation. And it is another way of demonstrating that commitment that, as I mentioned, Mr. Cavalieri has also endorsed for this industry and has used as the entry point for corporate social responsibility. As president, I am told that he's really contributing not only through what I just said, but also to the idea of training and capacity to be at the forefront of this transformation. And this is why, together with the city of Antwerp, that as we know is one of the centers in the world for the jewelry and diamond industry, they have been looking into the possibility of establishing a center of excellence for corporate social responsibility for the industry. The second person I want to give a vote of thanks is Eli Isakov, President of the World Diamond Council. He was one of the initiators and probably one of the lead persons to formulate the Kimberley process. And for those who are not aware, this was a major transformation. So I go back to the word. Because it was through the Kimberley process that we first all took cognizance of the fact that there were issues that needed to be addressed. There were problems that needed to be addressed, not necessarily created by the industry per se, but facilitated by the fact that there were no regulatory mechanisms that would impede certain use, or illicit use, I should say, of the industry outcomes. And this has been addressed with the Kimberley process. And it's one of the processes where the corporate sector has endorsed not only the idea that there was a need for transformation, but has actually led that process and contributed to the formulation of something that is much more dense, that has depth in terms of what was required. So they went ahead and beyond what was requested from the public opinion. So as a leader of the industry, he has also been the one promoting the UN Global Compact principles, and he has also espoused, as I mentioned before, for Mr. Cavalieri, the Millennium Development Goals. I want also to thank Georges Brice, who is the director of HRD in Antwerp, because they have been also associated with these ideas, and particularly in his portfolio, he's conducting education and training, so he's closer to UNITAR's world. And certainly he will be a key player for us to continue this partnership I just mentioned towards the establishment of the Center of Excellence. And finally, I want to thank the Vice Mayor of Antwerp, who is not here with us today, but I'm told that because of some delays he will join us only tomorrow. But he has also been quite instrumental in supporting all these initiatives through the support of this city that continues to be interested in becoming not just the leader in terms of hosting such an important industry, but also the leader in terms of supporting corporate social responsibility initiatives in the same area. And finally, I want to thank Mr. Li Lu, who is the chair of Diamond Administration of China, that was here this morning, and I understand will come back tomorrow. And also Mrs. Wendy Zhang, who is the CEO of Baoan Jewelry, based in Shenzhen. Some of the partners that are going to be here with us, I have a very long list. I'm not going to thank each one of them, but I really want to acknowledge that all of them have made the effort of coming to Shanghai, and it's quite a great opportunity for us to have this event here in the UN Pavilion. It's very symbolic. All of this was possible from our side thanks to Anifa. Anifa Mezwi, she's an advisor to UNITAR, but she has a lot of hats. I don't even dare mention all the titles that she's carrying these days. So I will stick to the one that is closer to me, which is advisor to UNITAR. Anifa, besides being a friend, is known by many of you, and I'm sure by many others that are active in the Millennium Development Goals, as someone that doesn't let go. She keeps knocking until it happens. So this very strong sense of purpose, sense of commitment, has made possible already to do a number of things on the Millennium Development Goals. She has been one of the champions of the Millennium Development Goals from the very beginning. At one occasion, I was in a session with Anifa, and she teased me about telling the story of the beginning of the Millennium Development Goals. Because for a lot of people, they don't know exactly how it came about. So I'm going to say it in a condensed way because I want this meeting to proceed. In fact, the former Secretary General, Kofi Annan, decided to have, at the occasion of the 2000 General Assembly, something that would be different, because we have the General Assembly meeting every year. It's kind of boring, so people know that president after president goes there and makes a speech of 5 minutes to 7 minutes, and nobody actually listens except for the exciting presidents that either are very important or are very provocative. The others don't count, so you have to be in one of these two categories. And, you know, to make something different on the occasion of the new millennium, he wanted to have a different format. And he adopted a format that we are all very used because we participate in corporate events and academic events. But it's quite new and different from the diplomatic type of format, and particularly involving heads of state. And that was to have tables where you have about 7 to 8 people in one table, and you throw a question to them and say, now you debate, and one of you will report to plenary. And this was really shocking for heads of state. So what about my speech? And said, no speeches. Well, that means all the staff that you have that will prepare these very crafted speeches, etc., are without a job, because you have to sit at the table, there are no staff helpers, so you have to manage.